Hey, ladies, I told y'all I was going to look out for you this year, didn't I? And I did not mean that just with unisex fragrances that us men can benefit from as well, but exclusively clone dupe inspired, niche, designer, everything in between. But today we've got a niche fragrance for you ladies from the house of MFK, Maison Francis Kurkdjian. Strap up. All right, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the evening. Today from the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian, we have L'Eau à la Rose. Not much to say about this one. Let's dive straight into it. I think a lot of y'all ladies don't really see this one a lot when you go into the Neiman's and stuff, unless you just happen to be there on a lucky day. Normally you see the typical, Grand Soirs, the Gentle Fluidity series, the Aqua Universales or the Universales line, the Ouds and all that stuff. But I think I only got this because I know the reps at the MFK table whenever I go to Neiman's and they always look out for me and just throw stuff in my bag. So without further ado, this is classified as a floral fruity fragrance for women, 4.03 out of 5 ratings. So we'll round down 4 out of 5, about 1,000 votes. So let's dive right in. Do I have test strips? Is SB missing a stinking test strip? Sorry guys, 1 second. We'll just say I did that on purpose to let it dry down on my skin quicker. Okay. We're not going to be shy on the sprays here. Floral Fruity from MFK. MFK has a way about their feminine scents outside of like Grand Soir and Fluidity Gold and things like that. Maison Francis Kurkdjian has this way about his gentleness in fragrance where he can typically take really light DNAs and make them feel robust even in their light sparkling airness about them. And speaking of light and sparkling, I might be taking a couple sips of my bev because it's late at night and I am parched. So it seems like based off the title, it'll be like a rose watery type of scent. I'm going to spray it one more time actually on skin. I don't think I got good coverage. There we go. On the test strip, a juicy rose water. I love it. It sits perfectly in that kind of slight sparkling airy rosewater lane, but it's not light. You want the lightness of that in terms of the weight, but you still want a rich floral essence. And I think they've masterfully blended fruits into the rose to where it still feels like almost like a hyper real rose. You don't really get more of the fruity essence. You just get like a nice juicy, sweet pink rose type of composition. But again, it has that airy, fancy rosewater feel. But what I was trying to say earlier is what I like about this is it truly feels ageless. Like my niece could wear this and she'd be wearing some fancy stuff, but it would feel appropriate for her age. She'd just feel like a little rich, Kardashian's daughter type of the situation. But I think this is also angelic and heavenly for a woman. If you're into, 2 feet projection fragrances in the niche category that just lean on that airy, natural skin scent angelicness, this is really nice. And again, it doesn't feel, I guess it does feel somewhat like you could find this in a Bath and Body Works as a body spray, but experiencing it in this quality makes you appreciate it. Like this is one of those scents where if you have this as a woman and you like stuff like this, like it just covers all your bases in the angelic category, the angelic floral, angelic naturesque skin scent category. It's musky. It's got a slight pink rose hint to it. It's watery. It's airy. It's crisp. And most importantly, it's niche. I feel like on skin, it gets just a little bit richer. The tiniest bit, but you still get that airiness. There's also a kind of a kind of lineniness behind it, but it's certainly very floral. The more it dries down, the more realism the pink rose petals, it's like a pink rose petal dipped in ice cold water. I like it. It's so simple, but man, for the simple woman who just, she's got the money to do it, but she doesn't like boombastic scents, she would run through a bottle of this. This would just be her go-to signature scent. Look, I'm not trying to get super noticed, but if you interact with me, I want to be super niche and pleasant on the nose. This is, simple, nothing innovative. But again, simple is great when it's done at a high quality. Nothing fancy. Um, this is really nice. Let's go ahead and switch screens here. It's ironic I'm wearing a pink shirt today in light of this pink fragrance. Lychee, pear, and green accord. I get mostly the green accord. The lychee and pear just assist the rose. You won't really make out lychee or pear, at least to my nose. I know everybody's different. I guess there is a kind of light, airy, crisp pearishness on the rose, but it'll mostly translate as this peony and pink rose combo. I don't even necessarily get as much violet. So for me, this is like almost like a picture blue talisman, but instead of the blue pear feel, this is the pink pear feel. I get mostly rose and peony by like 80%, 20% musk, and maybe even just like 5%. I know that's over 100, but tiniest bit of pear and green accord. So let me rephrase that. 70% rose and peony, 20% musk, and 10% kind of pear and green accord. It's such a simple scent, guys. Like well, we'll get into that later. Let's see what the performance is like on this. A mostly moderate longevity, but an intimate sillage, intimate to moderate sillage. I could see that. I think after about 2 hours, this will go straight into 1 foot projection max. But this is so nice. Like, again, I call this the type of scent you want as a glorified skin scent. If you almost want to feel like you didn't even put the fragrance on, it's just like a beautiful compliment to a nice shower. But, again, ladies, if you wear floral and fruity like hair conditioners and body washes and stuff, I imagine you'd get even more push off of a fragrance like this, and it'll go even further. There's going to be a lot of fragrances that smell like this. Oh, rose from Diptyque, peony and peppercorn from from Banana Republic. I even think Roger and Galley rose. Yeah. Honestly, let's wrap up here. Spring, summer. I think you could year round it, but again, if you live in harsh conditions, don't wear this fragrance. It's so light and gentle. Think of it like a thin piece of crystal. You set it down too lightly and it'll just shatter. But it could be year round. I would call this more of a indoor fragrance. Work safe, around the house. This is your upscale, casual, angelic, light, airy, crisp. You almost look at this fragrance the same way you look at crisp, clean air, meaning when you're going for that airy pristineness, that's what you bring into this fragrance. I wouldn't even really call this a rose scent, even though it's very rose petalish. It's mostly about musk, It's that MFK touch, but it's one of the more gentler approaches. As a scent, I give it a strong 8, but you have to be into this. Like, you have to be into musk fragrances, airy fragrances, linen-y fragrances. This is not like a pungent rose water. This isn't a heavy rose scent. I almost wouldn't even classify it as a rose. If you're into fragrances like Roger and Galley's rose, fragrances like Atomic Rose. This is like a third of the pungency of Atomic Rose, 1/3 that is. Fragrances like Lua from Xerjoff. Yeah, it's quite simple. It's quite simple, but you would use the heck out of this. Alternatives. You know, the Banana Republic, peony and peppercorn for sure. If you need like a super duper cheapie, I prefer the Roger and Galley rose fragrance. It's very cheap these days. You can probably get it for under 20, 30 bucks. Just trying to think of, yeah, I mean, anything from the Gentle Fluidity line, it has that feel. Um, yeah, what do I think is like a super cheap alternative to this? I mean, there's so many things. This is the kind of scent though where this is the scent you put on after you use like a Lush bath bomb or like a lot of your showers and shampoos and stuff just to elevate this just a little bit. Super layerable, super layerable. Sprays on this, I'm going 10 plus. Ladies, don't even count when you spray this one. Occasions, errand running, casual, indoors, working, casual lunch or brunch with the Mr. or Mrs. Are they classifying this as a unisex scent? No, it's a for women scent. And it looks that way too. I mean, check out this bottle. I do think for when you look over at the Accords list, it doesn't sell exactly what this is. Like if you're into a Narciso Rodriguez musk for her, that's what this fragrance is like with a little more dose of peony. Um, you know, I know they have another rose fragrance. Let me look. Let's see. Maison Francis Rose a la Rose. I wonder if this is heavier. And I wonder if low a rose or whatever is like a flanker. Okay, so bergamot and sweet pea is the only addition. So is the low one a... Interesting. Yeah, even like Fleur de Peau from which I do have from Diptyque is very nice to this. So let's wrap up. BR peppercorn and peony. There's a couple of fragrances that this kind of reminds me of, like the Gardenia from Chanel Privé line. You know, Musk for Her, Narciso Rodriguez. The other rose fragrance from MFK, Roger and Galley's Rose. This is nice. Again, it's above average because of the quality, but in terms of the scent profile, it is average. But I think for the women with the softer approach, like you might as well, you're not going to buy a lot of fragrances anyway because you want more of a lighter scent. So you use your other toiletries to accentuate this light fragrance so that it can carry, and then you call it a day. But this is super layerable as well. And I think every woman should have a rose fragrance, point blank period. I think men should be in roses as well. But for a woman, this is like quintessential. You know what I'm saying? Price point on this, I think it's like a 70 ml. I really forget how MFK rocks their fragrances. So they do sell it in a 6.8 ounce, a 2.4, and a 1.2. What is the ml on that? 70 ml. Okay. So their main bottle style is the 70 ml, which I'm not mad at that either. But price point for the 70 ml is retails at $275, discounts around $250. I could imagine you could get this fragrance probably around the $200 mark all day long. It's definitely not one of their more popular fragrances from what I've seen. So I could imagine this one hits things like Olfactive LLC and the Whatnot app and stuff like that pretty frequently. You can get it around the $200 price point, but discounters are mostly hitting it for $250 and more around the $220 part around holidays. But yeah, there are plenty of valid alternatives to this scent. But if you're the type of woman who only has like 4 or 5 scents and you just need, that rose, this, if you want something a little more intense, you can go into like a Day 3's Royal Reflection, which is a really nice like passion fruit rose, but it still has that airy, gentle, low projection feel. Definitely figure out what your style of rose is, natural, surreal, animated, somewhere in the middle. There's a lot of different offerings of rose pairings, but this definitely is more of the purest, gentle pink rose type of category. And I think it's a solid 8 out of 10 for me. But you for sure want to get your nose on it. Even if you like rose fragrances, you know as well as I know there's so many roses out there and mixed combinations and qualities of rose that it's certainly one you're going to want to put, we'll give this to the ladies in the next giveaway and empty the bottle all over yourself and make sure it really makes you feel good and it fits your personality, because it has to fit your personality to rock. Anyways, this was Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Low a la Rose, I believe. Let's check. Yes, Low a la Rose for women. It's pretty solid, but definitely a purest rose type of scent. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on that notification bell. Talk to me. I do talk back. Hey, I'm looking at my OBS right now, and these colors are popping. We might have to get back in I look like guava. Kiwi guava here on camera. But anyways, I appreciate you guys so much. If you're into fragrance content, we post every single day, so this is where you want to be. Give me a sub for the week, or even just hang out, and you'll know really quickly if this is where you need to be. But I'm bringing a lot of value, and I'm happy you're here. I'm going to throw 2 videos up based off what you've been searching for. Hope they keep you entertained, but I got to get going. Stay blessed. Peace.